So not content to just get anybody from the University of Pennsylvania, let's get the president of the Penn Club of Chicago up next. And MichalClements is the author of Tuning Into Mom. Maybe I'll learn something here, Mom. I should get this. Understanding America's Most Powerful Consumer. Hey, idea for another book, Understanding Britain's Most Powerful Consumer. She writes a weekly blog called The Market Strategist on the Tribune Chicago Now website and is the president, as I said, of the Penn Club of Chicago. In her day job, she's the managing principal of Insight into Action, a strategy consultancy. Big hand, please, for Michael.
Thanks, Peter. I'm going to talk about my leap into MOOCs. What is a MOOC? It's a massive open online course that's available on the web. There are many things you find in other courses like lectures, problem sets, TAs, quizzes, etc. How many of you have ever taken a MOOC? Woo! Well, some of the major MOOC players you may be familiar with are Coursera. People ask me, where do you find them? You go to www.coursera.org or edX or the Khan Academy or Udacity, or if you want to see a very cool infographic in the Chronicle of Higher Ed that has all the players. But I'm going to focus mainly on Coursera because that's been my experience. Why do people take MOOCs? Apparently, according to this survey, the humanities are taken mainly for enrichment, which surprised me to see that social sciences are taken for job skills. I was expecting more like computer science, but okay, it's 20,000 people or 30,000 people. Some of the schools my husband insists I say I've attended in quotes because it's been online include, of course, the University of Pennsylvania. You probably saw that one coming, as well as Northwestern, Yahoo, locally, Brown, Case Western, Yale, etc. So there's plenty of schools available, and this is where my MOOC journey began with this gentleman called Al Phil Reese, who teaches modern and contemporary poetry, and he is the Kelly Professor at the University of Pennsylvania, founder and co-director of the Kelly Writers House, a gifted educator who I had seen speak here in Chicago, and when I heard he was offering the online MOOC, I signed up right away. This fellow also apparently jumped into the class. At the same time, you may recognize Dick Durbin, who said he knows nothing about poetry, but he was testing it out, and he was working 2 hours a night in the same class that I was taking, along with 30,000 other people, I might add. So it's a different way to teach and learn. What it is not is a series of lectures. It's actually film discussions of collaborative close readings of individual poems. What's very, very cool is Al began teaching online in 1994, 20 years ago. And here's what we did. We read poems like Emily Dickinson's I Dwell in Possibility. I dwell in possibility, a fairer house than prose, more numerous of windows, superior for doors. A visitor's the fairest, for occupation this, the spreading wide my narrow hands to gather paradise. And we would literally go through this and close reading. Here is Penn's real-life house of possibility. It is completely open, as Al said, for anyone who's interested in poetry, other writing. If you come to Philadelphia, he really means it. I hope you'll visit me and come and meet the people here. And he always has food going as well. So, very welcoming. This is Penn's profusion of online poetry resources. What I think is the very coolest is you can hear the poets actually reading their own recordings, like William Carlos Williams reading This Is Just to Say 5 different times. It's amazing. The poets actually jumped into our class. So it was amazing wealth of resources. At the end, you get this certificate of accomplishment, and charged up by this experience, I went on and took Introduction to Philosophy, as well as more of a business-oriented course, Gamification. And kept moving on into Emotional Leadership, The Fiction of Relationship, which was amazing. We read 12 books in 12 weeks. And here at Northwestern, Understanding Media by Understanding Google, which was very, very interesting to read 6 books about Google. Who knew you had 6 books about Google at this point in time? My thoughts are, of course, this is a personal opinion, but find a professor who has mastered their topic and is teaching their signature course. They've spent their developing it, like Al with modern and contemporary poetry, like Professor Weinstein with over 30 years teaching the fiction of relationship, or Professor Boyatzis with emotional intelligence. You can also check out the online ratings for quantitative nerds like me. You can see how many stars they got. This is, of course, non-scientific, but I will point out that Al has 168 reviews and he has 5 stars from all of them, as well as gamification has done very well. Some of the others, no one took the time to vote for. I'm looking ahead to take Justice, which some of you may have heard of. It's a legendary course, as well as Greek and Roman mythology, and these are being offered, and I'm looking forward to taking them. And to date in this year, what I'm already taking is Moralities of Everyday Life with Professor Bloom. He just debriefed the class, and he said, though in many ways an in-person class is better, he still says, the community in the online class is much stronger than the community in an in-person classroom. And that's because there's actual dialogue occurring between the students and the professors versus lectures and papers offline. Another tip I have is to make it fun, take it with a friend or several friends. This is Sally, Tim, and Judy, and they don't live in Chicago, and they went on this journey with me, and we had a wonderful time together, and it definitely made it more enriching. I would say don't take a survey course with a different professor each week. It doesn't quite work. It's a neat theory, but doesn't quite work. Of course, don't stay in a class you aren't learning from. And I would say don't bother if you're just going to watch the videos and not read the source material, nor engage with the learning community. It's much more meaningful when you engage. Some concerns I had is it doesn't fit my schedule. Well, the schedule is according to you. It's available at any time. There is no cost. As you may know, these classes are free, so they're really no cost. The other 2 objections are real, like I must do things in person, I cannot learn remotely. Yep, that would be a problem that I don't recommend. And lastly, you're too busy. Again, I don't recommend it. So this is me jumping off the bridge in New Zealand earlier this year, taking the leap into MOOCs. Education is my drug of choice. So what are you waiting for? Think about joining me in a MOOC. And yeah, Al's going to be offering modern and contemporary poetry again this fall in October. Thank you.